It's our time. It's our time.
Hey there, I'm Shub from North of Normal, and this is One Song, One Story. The concept is simple. Each guest brings a song, and together we explore what it means to them, the memories it holds, the feelings it unlocks, the story it tells about who they are. Today's episode is about permission to take the risk, trust your voice, and stop shrinking yourself to fit the wrong life. I'm joined by Sumi X, artist, songwriter, and someone whose path took her from building a government consulting company to fully stepping into music. The song she brings is Liability by Lorde, a track that arrived at exactly the right time, helping her to move through self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and the fear of being too much. We talk about melody versus lyrics, old souls, creative courage, and how sometimes one song becomes the permission slip you've been waiting for your whole life. All right, let's begin. Enjoy. Welcome to the One Song, One Story podcast, Sumi X. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Doing great.
Fantastic. And whereabouts in the world are you today?
I am in Los Angeles, in Venice, right by the beach.
Very nice. And you said it's about 11 a.m.?
It's 11:11, actually, angel time.
Oh, okay, angel time. So if your morning so far in LA was a song, what would the title of that song be and what would the vibe be?
Oh my gosh, I did not think about that. My morning today. You stumped me. This is weird. You know, this is so ridiculous, but the only thing that's coming to my head is, it's a beautiful morning. Yes. Who is that? Who is that song? I can't even place it.
I don't know. I'm enjoying the performance though.
We'll go with that. It's a beautiful morning it's one of the greats. I'm just blanking.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. And something I like to do with guests on the show is think of a song that comes into my mind when I meet them. So we've never
Ooh.
met before, but when I was reading your bio, there was this amazing line that it said you got this message, the best lesson you ever got from your parents was dreams. Do not wait for permission, they get built. And I was like, oh, what a line.
Oh my
So
gosh, wait. I freaking love that. Where did I write that?
so instantly the song that came to mind was Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, which is a bit of a
Yeah,
classic. But
absolutely.
but yeah, it was a great line, and that was what inspired me with that song choice. So yeah, I
Yeah.
love the way you're like, wait, did I write that?
Did I write that?
Oh,
I do remember,
fantastic.
like, when I was a kid, like middle school or something, like, yep, my dad took me to his office, and maybe this is what I was referencing, but I had to interview him, and I said, you know, what, like, I had to make a list of questions, and one of them was, what advice do you have for me in terms of like my career? I was freaking in seventh grade, like, but, and he said, opportunity. He's like, there's an old phrase. It says, when opportunity comes knocking, you better be worried, or you better be ready. But he goes, but that's bullshit. Opportunity never comes knocking. You have to go find it.
Wow, great
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Great advice, yeah. And I can relate. I think that probably makes sense for both of our journeys.
Uh,
Um, and listen, you brought a great song with you today, and I can't wait to explore it and your connection to it, and we will get there. I think before we do, I'd love to explore a bit about yourself. So you are a hugely creative person, right? And I'm sure we'll come on to
I would like to think
uh,
so.
yeah. Where do you think that creativity came from for you?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, but I think like music has just always been my everything, like my escape, my joy, freedom. Like one of my earliest memories is being, 4 years old, and there was always like some chaos happening like inside the house. And I would go to the backyard, and our like small little backyard in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I remember just like trying to roller skate and sing over and over again. I would just be singing, Kookaburra sits in an old gum tree, eating all the gumdrops he can see. I don't- And like I have these like core memories of like music just like giving me that like joy if I couldn't find it anywhere else, singing really. And so
Wow.
I do think that creativity lives in all of us. Like I think it like comes from something much bigger than us. And I do think that like everyone is creative actually, but
Mm.
we get so maybe conditioned or maybe programmed by expectations and the need to make money and work and survive and trauma and all this stuff that like we block it off. But I do think like like at our most pure essence, like we are all creative beings. And I think accessing it and letting ourselves kind of be childlike in that way
Mm.
where we can be open enough to access the creativity gives us such a force, gives us access to like the universe source, I think, in ways that are really fulfilling.
Yeah, well said, and 100% agree. And I think I've said it quite a few times on this show that um, I feel like I'm incredibly grateful for what feels like a gift of being a songwriter because not a lot of people have that thing where they can just access, you put it beautifully, access source. But when you write stuff comes out and then you look back and you realize you were processing and releasing a lot of stuff, and it feels like a gift to be able to have that. Um, where a lot of people don't have that in their lives. So yeah, to access it feels really beautiful. And listen, you're a songwriter, right? But you're also a pretty by the looks of it, a pretty badass flute player. What other instruments do you play?
I actually trumpet. I actually became a trumpet player in high school and
Trumpet.
was
Sorry, yeah.
was actually really good. But you know what? I was inspired by my older sister playing flute. But anyways, um, we ended up like in high school. I ended up just like I didn't even like playing the trumpet. I'll be honest with you. I did not enjoy it, but became like we won like the Jazz at Lincoln Center competition when I was in high school, and I ended up getting to like do a trumpet solo on stage at Lincoln Center with Wynton Marsalis. Like it was pretty
Wow.
epic looking back. Um and then I play piano and guitar because I learned those things to help me songwrite basically.
Mm, so cool. So cool. And coming back to music, you touched on it a bit there before, riding your roller skates, singing that song. But what do you? I'm always curious to know what people's earliest memories of music are. Like, was there a song that kind of sparked it and that you fell in love with, or was it just something
Hmm.
that always meant a lot to you?
Just always something that meant a lot to me. My I do remember that um like my parents being from India, I think they always valued like giving all of us, I have three sisters, so they did value giving all of us like a musical education, I think. But I have memories of like my grandmother coming to visit, and she would make all of us sit there in the living room and learn like Indian Carnatic music, which is like classical music from South India,
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that it was just always being I was always around music. I was always and then my mom, she like went I guess she's just like the epitome of like assimilation. Like she came to this country and then was just obsessed with like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Heart and Pink Floyd and like like she just and so I was always hearing those albums and like in the car like listening to the radio with her and And I remember I was like 9 and I said to her like, "Mom, we should start a band." Like, and it was like listen it was like listening to the Eagles, I think. It was like listening to the Eagles. Like, got me on my knees, da, da, da. And I was like such a random song for a 9-year-old to be obsessed
Yeah.
with, you know? Um, but, um wait, is that the E I think I'm getting that right. I might be
That
confusing it.
is Eric
That
Clapton, I
that's not
think.
that's Eric Clapton. What am I talking
Yeah.
about? The Eagles. Yes, I meant Eric Clapton. Yes. Thank you. Um, and, I don't think my parents took my desire to do music, like, seriously. I knew that I always there was something in me that I felt like, this is what I've always wanted to do.
Mm.
But I think for, like, a number of reasons, it took me a while to have the courage to pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think same for me. I mean, I'm 47 now, and
Okay.
it's taken me a long time. Always been passionate about music, spent many
Yeah.
years making music, but it's taken me this long to figure out that actually this is the one thing in my life that lights me up in a way nothing else does. And
Yes.
if you have that, that's like the biggest sign that you should follow it, right? Instead
I
of, yeah,
completely agree. I completely agree. Because otherwise, your life goes by. Like, certainty is never guaranteed in any path. So you might as well do, I think, what you're called to do. And I think we are
yeah,
called to it for a reason because we're supposed to do it.
yeah,
I
me
really
too.
do.
Me too. Um, and teens. So I always love to ask guests this because for me, and I think for a lot of people, teens are these formative years for your life, and it's formative in your musical taste. There's so much identity bubbling on that you're like grabbing onto these artists. What sort of music were you listening to in that era?
In my teens,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh. Pearl Jam. A lot
Oh,
of
love Pearl
I
Jam.
mean, yeah, Pearl Jam. I had older sisters too, so I was like influenced with like their listening choices.
Mm,
Like, gosh, like I was always like slightly off the mainstream. So I was never like, Britney Spears or like Hannah Montana or like I don't know, like other like other girls may have been like, like kind of more in that. But was like I was a little bit like I don't know. I think I was influenced just by older music, honestly,
mm.
like Pearl Jam, Pink Floyd, Eric
Oh,
Clapton, like those kinds of those kinds of I think like bands that defined a lot of America. And maybe I was a little bit I was always very introspective. I was always very kind of like when I think about it, I'm like, I listen to a lot of sad songs. Like I listen to a lot of hard, I feel like I'm an old soul in that way. I was never into like I was never really into like fun pop songs.
yeah, I love that too. I think it's interesting how people like a sad song to me doesn't make me sad. I think to other people they're like, "Why are you listening to this song?" But for me, it's like
Yeah.
a beautiful emotion. But also, thank God for siblings. I've got three older brothers, and the amount of music like I remember growing up with one
Yeah.
brother who my eldest brother was listening to The Cure and all this different
Yeah.
stuff, and then my other brother was into like Pink Floyd and Prince and James Brown. It just was all like
Yeah.
blasting out, coming into my world.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But like it just
Alanis
made
Morissette,
finding
Jimi
some.
Hendrix, like, yeah, I
Yeah,
think my older sisters helped me like find music a lot, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
And what role does music play in your life now?
Oh, oh my God. I mean, music is everything, I think. Music is my outlet, personal outlet, I think. Being able to, like you said earlier, like being able to have the outlet of songwriting and then melody, like there's something really special. I feel like there are two types of people in the world. There's the type of person that has always been like more listening to the lyrics of a song.
Mm,
And then there's the person who's more into the melody
Yeah.
and the instrumentation. And for me, I've always been more of a melody girl. I it hits me so hard, and it almost is like sometimes I find myself you get into like a trance when a song really hits you. You feel like you're not really of the like in the world anymore. You're kind of like above it. And I feel that way where when a vocal delivery, like a gritty emotional voice with a melody that hits just right, like it can literally take you somewhere that you can't access without that.
Mm.
um, and, lyrics are cool. I like lyrics. Lyrics can be fun, witty, but I do find that lyrics are more of the mind and not of the soul, and that's crazy. I've actually never said that before, but actually I think that's true. I think that's true, and I think that I'm much more of a soul-led human, and so I relate to melody more than lyrics.
I'm with you. I'm team melody. I barely ever, I
Yeah?
don't even know the lyrics to my own songs that I've written because for me, it's like
Yes.
the sounds and the rhythm of the melody. The words are like
Yes.
that. Like I've been listening to songs for 30 years and I still just
Yeah.
sing the sounds. And when you do find out the lyrics, you're like, okay, that's really cool. But it's like, it was the sounds that's been carrying me for so long.
Oh my God, I love that you said that so much because so many musicians I meet in like the pop world here in LA, I don't think I've met anyone who is a melody. Like everyone kind of like, I don't know, you kind of pedestal lyric writing and melody comes second. And I have to remember that no, like there's power in a good in melody, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think so. I think it's like there's certain artists that highlight it so well, when they're I think if you took their lyrics and tried to make it a poem, it wouldn't be a very good poem.
Right.
If that take some Adele songs or something like that, but when they sing it and put it to music,
Yes.
that's what brings it alive and their characters. So it's like I get the lyrics are important for the story, but it's what they are
Yeah.
doing to those words, which is where the
Yes.
where the magic happens,
Yes.
I think.
Oh, completely agree. Yes.
Okay, I think it would be a great time to find out what song you brought today. But I think before we do, a quick heads up for anyone who's new to the show. We are not here to break down music theory or studio techniques. We are here for the stories, the memories, the moments songs get tied to. So if you
Mm,
haven't heard the track that Sumi's about to talk about, please take a second, pause, listen to it before we carry on. And I can assure you that the conversation will hit a bit differently. So, Sumi, please tell us the song that you brought with you today, please.
okay, amazing. I brought the song called Liability by Lorde.
Fantastic. And always curious, was it an easy choice for you, or were there a few songs that you were kind of wrestling with?
Definitely was wrestling with a few for sure.
Okay, what were some of the others?
Okay, Inside Job by Pearl Jam.
Okay.
Do you know that one? Yeah, actually a lot of songs off of that Pearl Jam Avocado record.
Mm.
Um and then I was sort of all over the board too because I was like, well, honestly, like The Wall by Pink Floyd. Like, there were a lot. There were a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I'm just going to bring on a whole album instead.
Oh, there
Okay.
was a yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And set the scene for us. So take us back to the moment you first heard this song. Like, where were you? Who were you? What was happening in your world at the time?
Okay. It was it was 2017, I think, and I had just okay, so I was, like, building my company in DC and really had this, like, ache about I did not like the direction my life was going in, And I, had been building this government consulting company and constantly like wanting to get out of it, but not knowing how, and feeling really trapped, and feeling like I was not myself, wearing a mask, like had to put on this kind of lifestyle and character and personality that did not feel true to me at all. And so took, I ended up like getting to a point, because I had, started the company like right out of college, like at tw- um, like 2010-ish timeframe. All this momentum started happening. And then basically by 2017, I had set up like a management team in place and was like, I'm going to take a month to just like go to Nashville and see what happens with music. And I went to Nashville. And I literally say that month was like the best, like one of the best months of my entire life, because
Mm.
it was like a personal reckoning. Like it's not even like anything that magical happened, but it was that every day I would go to the local coffee shop and like overhear conversations about like, they're all artists sitting there, they're songwriters, they're guitar players, they're session musicians, their music is everywhere. And I went to my voice teacher, I had been taking vocal lessons like on the side while I'm building this government contracting company. Like what I really wanted to do was be a singer-songwriter. So I was like taking vocal lessons on Zoom from the studio in Nashville. So now I got to go see them in person. And I was like, okay, like went to my voice teacher, and he was like, I had been writing songs too on the side. And he was like, well, do you want to like, I can hook you up with a producer and we can get some of these recorded and produced. And I was like, oh my God, like even the
Wow.
idea of like meeting a producer, it just felt so glamorous and like a world that I wasn't aware of, and he introduced me to a producer, and really cool guy, Jason Moncia, and we hit it off. And he was like, we started meeting for breakfast every morning. We talk about what sounds I wanted, we'd go through all my voice memos. And anyway, while I'm there working on producing my own music, I'm listening. I'm trying to like get influences. Like, what do I want to sound like? Who am I inspired by? And I love Lorde, right? Like her 2013 album was like one of my favorite albums. And Melodrama in 2017, I think, had just come out. And so I'm listening to Melodrama, and like I'm a singer, but at the time I was really didn't I wasn't I was like comparing myself to like Demi Lovato, and I was feeling really like insecure in my singing abilities.
Yeah.
And like I'd be watching like Ariana in the studio and Demi Lovato in the studio, and I would be like, "Oh my God, like I don't think I can call myself a singer." I just felt so like depressed. Like I felt so insecure about my own voice because I'm comparing to them. And then I hear Lorde and I'm like, "What?" Like, she's so huge and so powerful, and her
Mm.
songs are so like they hit you so deep and they mean so much. And my voice is like hers, And I'm like, wait, maybe I can do this. Like if she can, I can, kind of like that feeling at the time. And I found her, and then I'm listening to the album, and the song Liability just hit me so deep, because it's basically about her feeling like she's like too much, and that people
Mm.
just, use her and then drop her, and being alone, and like trying to find some solace in the fact that maybe she'll always be alone, which is humorous because she was so freaking young at the time that she wrote that up. But we're so dramatic, we right? um, but so I was like, I remember I was like in this Airbnb in the 12th South neighborhood of Nashville, like listening to Liability like on repeat, and then like singing it and playing it on the piano. And like it was just one of those moments where I'm like, I can do this. Like I think it really helped me in so many ways. The lyrics of the song itself, like actually there's Liability, but then there's Liability Reprise on the same album. And in basically the song Liability ends with, you know, the fact that like it's kind of like the feeling that like, okay, she's just got to come to some sort of acceptance that like the last line is, They're gonna watch me disappear into the sun. You're all gonna watch me disappear into the sun. It's like very caustic. Like it's a
Mm.
beautiful line, but it's very like, okay, like I might just have to disappear, right? And that kind of a feeling. But then on Liability Reprise, she takes her power back. And it's like, wait, maybe this is all of it. Maybe all of these feelings is the party. And you're not who you thought you were. Like, and to me, keeps on repeating, but you're not who you thought you were. You're not who you thought you were. And it's this idea that like, wait, maybe I'm not too much. Maybe I can do what I want to do. Maybe the right person will see me for me. Maybe I don't have to shrink. Maybe I don't have to hide. Maybe I don't have to fade away into the sun or be burned at the stake or whatever she's trying to like conjure up with that image, you know? Um, and so for me, it was really like empowering because it felt like in so many ways. Like, first of all, just having such a powerful alto voice, which is what I have, and seeing someone like make such an impact with a similar voice to mine, and then the message of the song, feeling too much, knowing that like so many people are going to use you and leave you and drop you, and you're gonna be dancing in your living room by yourself, but then actually you're not a liability. Actually, you're not. You're not. Like, that you will find, like, that perfect match in terms of whatever, right? And it's obviously, like, whatever you wanna interpret it as, but for me, it was, like, what I'm doing with my life, and also, like, who I am as a person. I was always felt like I was either too much or not enough, and, like, never quite
Mm.
felt like I found my people, or and so, yeah, that's basically how I feel
That's
about it.
amazing. I mean, I was going to ask you like what hit you first. I usually inquire about what hit first, like the sound, the lyric, the song. And you've given us a great description there because it sounded like everything hit at once.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what you were saying about sad songs earlier, that sad songs are often like, don't make you feel sad. And you know why I think that is? It's because all of us as humans who feel, like, who are like, accessing our feelings a lot,
Mm.
which I think creatives especially we do. And so if you feel the entire soup of emotions. And so I think the deeper lows you feel, the deeper highs you also feel. And
Yeah.
you're not numbing out to like an average band of feelings. Like, we feel it all. And sad songs help us get the sadness out of us, I think,
Mm.
because we express it, right? Like, we feel it, we express it, we get it out. If we're singing along, where it's like literally like out of our bodies, and we feel better afterwards. That's my theory on it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. So you've had this moment with the song, and what do you do afterwards? I mean, is this like, are you like, oh my God, this is an amazing song. Is this song on repeat for you for the next few weeks? Or what was your relationship with this song afterwards?
It's on repeat for me. I definitely recorded a cover of it. Um, it's kind of like my and yeah. It's like my little, like, it's always in my back pocket. Like, I don't know why, it's always in my mind,
Mm.
it's always in my back pocket, it's walking around Nashville with me. Um, it was like my, like, little permission slip for me, like, it took me a few more years, many more years, but it was like my little permission slip to take the chance on myself and, like, do music.
Yeah. It's incredible, really incredible. I mean, not only were you listening to the voice and feeling like, okay, I can do this, but giving yourself permission to really step into it as well. I find it. I mean, I guess that's half the reason I created this podcast in the first place. I'm just fascinated, not even as a songwriter. I'm fascinated by the power of music.
Yeah.
And every guest comes on here and tells these powerful stories about one song. And I'm just like, you know, we're songwriters, right? We write a song and just put it out there. On the other end of it is people like us that are having these experiences when they
Mhm.
listen to these songs. And I just
Yeah.
think, I kind of think it's just mind blowing. It's just
Oh
mind
my God,
blowing.
that's
Like
so true. Like the
yeah,
life the life of a song that we don't even know the impact that it's having, and I love that so much. You're so right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And then how has has the meaning of the song changed for you over time at all? I mean, we're a few years on since that first listen. If you listen
Yeah.
to it today, kind of what does that bring up for you?
This honestly, like, I guess it's evolved a little bit in how I metabolize it, but I n now it also you know, like, now it also includes some nostalgia because it's like, it reminds me of, like, it's almost like when they talk about, like, your inner child or, like, little Sumi, like, "Oh, little Sumi was, like, so inspired by this song," and then I have, like, compassion for what she was going through at the time, and, you know, it's like so it's that layer, I guess, on top of it.
Mm.
But it's like it kinda also the message perpetuates and it never ends, you know? Like, I think, this to me, the song represents this, like, quest to feel enough to permission to be your full self, um, and not worry about, you know, how other people are interpreting you or what other people are thinking about you. And I don't think that that really ever quite ends. I think
No,
like
that's the life's work right there.
that's life's work, yeah. And so I think like even if when I listen to it now, it's like applied to new scenarios, you know, it's applied to me maybe feeling like before it was like me feeling not like I was in the wrong place in terms of like all of my connections in DC and doing that company. And now it's like more like it's totally different. Right now it's like me feeling probably imposter syndrome about being an artist and like, you know, really like there's so much talent around me. Like, can I really do this? And like, or the trope of like being a, you know, a like a young woman in the business. It's like, do people like what happens when I get older? Like aging is like a
Mm.
part of it, and like you know, like am I just gonna get like used and thrown away also in this scenario now? And yeah, so a lot of different like layers, I guess. That's a good question.
But yeah, really amazing questions to be asking yourself, I think.
Hmm.
And how do you think this song arrived with you? Coincidence or something bigger than
God, you're gonna make me cry.
that?
Ugh. I think something bigger than that for sure. I think that whether it's true or not, it's all how we look at it. And if we believe that it's like we're being guided all the time by a higher power, however we want to call that or conceptualize it, I think it makes life so much more meaningful.
Mm,
And that's the way that like I would prefer to think, you know, because I don't think any of us as humans, we're not going to be able to prove anything in the realm of spirituality or faith or whatever that's what they call it, faith, right? But um I think that if we choose to believe something, it's just like anything else. Like I've retrained my brain so many times to believe thoughts that make my life better, right? To believe thoughts like, yes, I'm a very talented artist. Yes, you know, if it's like social anxiety, it's like, yeah, everyone wants to be my friend. Of course everyone wants to be my friend, as opposed to in high school when I was so shy and it was like, you know, no one wants to be my friend, like cry in the corner, you know? And it's like you instead of continuing to believe that, you can literally reshape your reality by choosing to believe other thoughts and then finding a few examples of where that's been true for yourself and using that as evidence for the new thought that you want to believe. So like, you know, when you said, do you think it was coincidence or higher, what was the question? Or
Something bigger than that, I think.
something bigger than that. Okay. What it made me think of right away was last night. I um I was going for a walk in my neighborhood, and um my neighborhood in Venice, it's the Oakwood section of Venice that, there's some crime, there's some incidents that, like, okay, periodically can happen. And it didn't, it used to be, but 20 years ago it was a real different neighborhood. It was a ton of gangs, a ton of murders, a ton of drugs, and people creeping around this neighborhood that didn't have business creeping around this neighborhood. Um, and it's changed a lot, but that it's still, you got to be careful sometimes. And last night I was going for a walk, and I had a hesitation about it because it was like almost 10 p.m. and I was like, I probably shouldn't be going for a walk alone, but you know what? It's fine. I'm just gonna go for a walk. I need to get my steps in and whatever. I needed to get some air, fresh air. And what happened was I found out I was being followed by someone who did not look who looked like someone I would definitely not want to be being followed by.
Mm.
And um and right at the moment, some other person who lives on the street that I was walking on happened to open his door, turn on his porch light because he is looking to install a security camera because his packages keep getting stolen. So he's he's turning on his porch light to install a security camera, and he sees this guy following me, and the guy crouches behind a car and then like scurries away real fast in the opposite direction.
Wow.
He yells out, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?" And he like sprints off, in the other direction. And I saw the guy. I was meanwhile yapping with my friends on the phone. And so I really was like not being safe in terms of how I was walking around. And I did notice this shady looking guy, not to judge a book by its cover, but it was my gut. It was like, oh, that's not a guy I want to
Yeah.
be like. And I noticed him like walk by real fast and go down the street, and I felt a little uncomfortable because I had noticed that the house door and light had come on, and it didn't seem like that guy would have come out of that house. And um and then the guy coming out of the house yells like, hey, stop, can you stop? And I turn around and I'm like, I don't know what's going on now, and I don't know who to trust. And then but anyways, turns out that I think that's what happened. And then he told me that, and first I was creeped out and I was walking away, and then it hit me. I was like, that could have been like totally like God's protection. Like right at that moment, this guy decides to turn on his light and yell, "What are you doing?" to some guy look, what are the chances that
Mm.
I would have been walking by a house right at that moment who's going to come outside to install a security camera and spook the creep who's following me, right? Like, so I don't know, like in those moments, I like to believe that nothing is coincidence and that everything is like, we have to be appreciative of all the small moments that could be being guided by a higher power. And I felt that then last night. And I think that every I've heard stories of like books falling off shelves, which like ended up saving people's lives because they, you know, read a quote that helped them hold on to hope instead of like committing suicide, and like every
Yeah.
small thing like that, and I think this song right at the time like really helped me believe in myself, and I needed it to kind of make this transition, like huge transition from government contracting to being a pop star. Like what? Right? So
Brilliant. The less trodden path, I think, from government contractor
for sure.
to pop star. Fantastic. And if someone else were to cover this song, you mentioned you've covered it yourself, actually. If someone else were to cover this song, who would you want it to be and why?
Oh, let's see. Um, I'm gonna go with okay, Jesse Murph. Jessie Murph has this really interesting combination. She's a big-haired brunette. You know, she's from the South. She's country pop, I guess. Super gritty, super gritty. Her lyrics are really crass, actually, but they hit you. Like the melody hits you in the heart, like what we've been talking about. And so I'm just so curious how this song would sound on her voice because it's so gritty, it's so much character, right? And she would
Yeah,
do something wild. She would do something wild to it, I'm sure.
very cool. I would love to hear that too. Sumi, we're starting to come towards the end of the conversation now, but before we do, looking back on what we've shared, the song, your story, the memories it carries, is there anything that stands out most for you right now, or anything new that's come up for you at all?
Just that, you know, how much I have through this conversation reminded myself how much of an impact that music can have on people and just a single song can really change someone's life. And um your your podcast, I think, helps me recognize that and remember that. And so in fact, this is another moment where it's like more fuel to keep on doing what I'm doing. I have a I have a tattoo. It's a Rumi quote and it says, in the house of lovers, the music never dies. And to me,
Wow.
right, it's like so good. And it just reminds me of the power of music and the fact that Rumi was a mystic, basically like a Persian saint. And he,
Yeah,
I think, was referring to the music of the universe and like everything is music. And so that
yeah.
just reminds me like music is so powerful, like, never stop, never give up, you know, never take it for granted, and if you have the call to make
Mhm.
music, freaking go for it.
Yes. Rumi's like the most quotable human of all time. I mean, this guy just walking around, just everything they say is like poof, quotes, quotes. I'm like, did they ever
So
say
true,
something? Did they ever say anything that wasn't super cool? Like, can I have a cup of tea? Or has anyone got any milk? Or was it always just
so true.
poetry? I don't know.
Oh my god, so true, so true.
Well, thank you so much for bringing this song and for bringing yourself so openly. It's been amazing to share this time with you. And before we close, where can people find you, follow your work, connect with what you're creating right now?
Amazing. Yes, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. You can find me on all platforms on social media, XO Sumi X. So all one word, XO Sumi X. But then on to listen to my music, it's two words, Sumi X. So my last name is X.
Fantastic. I had a listen before and it was great, so certainly encourage people to go check it out. But thank you so much for your time and have
Amazing.
a great day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shub, and I'll talk to you later.
It's our time. It's our time. It's our time.